This conference will now be recorded.
How's this? It's good.
Test, test, test. We good? All right, well, I'll get started. Can you all please call the meeting to order? Can you all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Thank you much. You all have a seat. Again, thank you all for coming to your annual landowners meeting. I'm Ray Bossert, your general manager. I have brought some of our key staff here. On the far end, my finance department, I got Nick from operations, our legal counsel for the district, Garrett, community engagement, community services, golf and restaurant, Mike and Jamal, and then Melissa's our board secretary, administrative assistant, IT, Cameron, and then we have Bernardo as our public information officer, or gathers our data and takes our good photos. And then we have supervisors. I'd like to acknowledge our supervisors are in the audience. I got President Gilpin here. I got Mr. Norton here. I got Mr. Herrick, Ms. Beverly, Ms. Phillips, and Mr. McLaughlin, I'm sorry. So they're all here, so that's great. We'll get going on this. First, I would ask if there's anyone that has, in general, public comment. This is the time. We do record this, and we log it for the record. So if you please come up to the mic so we can get a clear understanding of what you're articulating, and we'll get that for the record. So you are limited to 3 minutes. We'll be pretty lean on that, or loose on that. If you have any public comment in general, now is your time to come up to the podium. And I see no move. All are satisfied on that. We'll move into the action agenda. So what we did, we broke this down into, and I apologize for sitting, I consider stand. We broke this down into 3 simple updates from the staff to the district residents. The status of the district financials, very simple understanding of it, and then major events in 2025. I also want to address the major events in 2024 for some of y'all that don't live here year round, and you see what we did and what we're going to do. So we'll cover that. Bottom line status of the district, and my assessment as a general manager, being in the seat for a little over 18 months now, we are in great financial position. We have continuously improved and professionalized your staff from my seat all the way into all our departments. About 170 is what we have right now across everything: golf courses, restaurants, utilities, and everything. So I'm very comfortable where we are staff-wise, in the professionalizing of them, the training, coaching, teaching, and mentoring of them, and holding them accountable, which I'm a big fan of. So I'm good on that. And we have definitely spent an inordinate amount of time, rightfully so, on doing some what I call corrections for past issues. Nothing nefarious, nothing negligence, nothing like that. But we have definitely spent a lot of time at the direction of my board to roust out the skeletons in the closet and fix a lot of problems, be they waste, be they roads, be they code enforcement, be they bonds, all that type of stuff. And trust me, you guys don't live and breathe it every day like these guys do in our offices. There's a lot, and we're dealing with it, and we're trying our best to get it to a more professional level that's full transparency across the board. If there's ever an issue, a question, you all know it, I hope by now, 24/7, this thing rings and I will answer. You call me from the bar downtown at 2 in the morning and you just want to give me a drunk call and say, hey, Boz, I was thinking about something, I will answer your call, all right? Because that's what you pay me, all right? And that's what I owe you. And then I'll bother these folks to get the right answer the same. And they know that. They understand. I don't do that too often, but that's the transparency, and that's what we should be giving you at our level. We're still a municipality that can do that, give you that concierge service, give you that feeling where when you want to walk into the general manager's office, you're not going to get, oh, come back in 3 days, let me get you an appointment, he's not here, and you're going to get somebody, you're going to get a live body, and you're going to get an answer. May not be the answer you want, but you're going to get an answer. So I think we're doing well as a district, and we'll get only better. We'll get only better by good feedback from y'all, by good staff work, by these guys thinking above and beyond, getting outside the box, and thinking about being proactive, not reactive. That's a guidance I give these guys all the time. And we're getting a lot better at that because I'm empowering them to do that. So I'm comfortable in the status of the district. Any questions on that for the good of the group? Public comments on that? Okay. The district assets and resources, we not only are we doing a lot, we have a lot in our great little district here, our good special district. Over 13,000 residents. You see in the bottom right corner of that slide. That's as of 2025. We're hovering at the 13,500 mark of actual residents in this district. About 2,000 of them are non-Florida full-time residents. Okay, I do clarify that because the residents, they pay assessments. They may not live here 12 months out of the year, but they should get the same treatment, the same services as anyone that lives here year-round. But I track that because that's a market, that's a level of extra work that my guys are required to do to reach out to you guys that are not here 12 months out of the year to make sure you're informed, getting the right emails, getting the right notifications, that type of stuff. It's a challenge. We're getting better at that. But we also, I use that as a tool of seeing where the market comes from and where we need to address issues external that those folks have. Checking their houses when they're not here after a storm or during a storm. That's something where if you lived here full time, you're in your house. You don't need me to check on it. But those folks, some of you out here, you appreciate that. I hope that if you call us up and you put us on the thing, we're going to come by and look at your house at no cost, because that's what my security guys do, and other things like that. We have a lot of parcels. The district is platted at about 12,000 some odd parcels, pre-platted, already out there. Somebody did this 50 years ago. And it really hasn't changed. People have maybe merged parcels. Very few have separated them. But that's set in stone for us to develop over the years. And we're doing a great job at doing that, more control there in how we're developing and getting builders in here to do something, not only for their financial benefit, but make sure it meets what we expect. The expectation management with our builders is high on my list, making sure they take care of stormwater, they got street lights, they got street sidewalks and all that stuff. That's something we're going to hold them accountable to. The district started with roads at 24 feet 50 years ago. All right. My average road right now is shrunk to about 18 feet. And that's not because, well, it is because lack of oversight sitting in that office across the street, lack of holding them accountable, lack of double checking. We're fixing that with all the new builds going in there. The challenge I have that the board has given me is how can we fix some of the 50-year historical? How do we get sidewalks in where there's no sidewalks? How do we get those streets to be enlarged so that people feel safe when they're walking and that type of stuff? That's a big challenge in our pre-platted, our established neighborhoods. But we're taking that on with our district engineers and so on. And as you see, there's a host of other things. We got wells, we got street lights, we got waterways, our stormwater lines and so on, and then you see our staff. A very simplistic way of our district financials is that this does not include what the board approved last month or in December with our budget amendment. It's because it's a live document. We get extra money in, the state gives us something, we find extra money, we do collections, we spend something, a water line breaks. So this does not reflect some of those changes. The next one will. But we started the year with, as you see there on the far left, we ended last year, 2024, with about $9.8 million across everything. And then we immediately took 7.8, stuck it into what I call the lockbox. That's the reserves, restricted funds. Only the board can tell me to spend money out of that. All right. So that's our savings account. And then we started going down the road, getting revenue from our restaurants, our utilities, our golf courses, our general funds, our assessments. So we ended up at the end of the day, starting 1 October this year, with $16 million expected revenue, either in the bank, operational accounts, or coming to us. And then right now, we started the year with about $13.2 million in expenses, known expenses. I know I'm going to fix this street. I know I'm going to change these signs. I know I'm going to spend this much on the pool, that type of stuff. So you see there's a good difference there, good delta there. Then we had what we call the capital projects. These are the larger scale projects, $1.6 million special projects. They add that to the pot. Our true expenses for 2025 is about $14.9 million. So we're still going to end the year in the positive. We're still going to be in the green. It's going to be about $1.4 million that we should be ending the year with. Best case scenario, not counting anything additional we can get. And we've gotten some already additional. The state's given us $200,000 that they forgot about. Good. Now we're better. That was for this park that we built over here. FEMA is coming to the table. There's an insurance settlement from the hurricane that's going to come to us that we've been paying years and years of insurance money. It's going to come to us for some of the damages from the hurricane. So there's additional revenue coming that make that number better. And then you take that $7.8 million that we started the year with that's in my lockbox, you throw it back together. We're going to start 2026 with about $9.2 million, and then it begins again. So financially, that's why I really say financially, The district's in sound financial shape, but we are addressing a lot of neglect, mediocrity, complacency of how we need to get better with fixing my roads, my sidewalks, my street lights, and that type of stuff. So I'm not saying we're not going to ever use that reserves. There'll be times I'll bring to the board, hey, we're at a point in time I need X amount of money to do this, this, and this, because we've just been lacking in certain areas. And the board has been very appreciative of that because we're looking at it as a staff. So good thing, you see at the top right corner, there's additional forecasted revenue. And this was at 1 October. That's actually changed to the positive. We're collecting for the wastewater fee. That's $2 million. It's not even in there. So every year we collect money for our wastewater plant, our $90 million project. So we're going to throw that money into the wastewater. We had an expectation of grants, financial settlements, legal settlements that we came to an agreement on, about $1.5 million. That'll come throughout the year. So that money, there's another $3.5 million that'll end up to the positive for us. But there's also been expenses. All right, we've had additional expenses. There was a major Boston street up there in the northeast corner, needed some stormwater relief. We spent about 200 grand on that. So that will be ongoing throughout the year. Any questions on the finances of the district? And again, I apologize for the simplicity, but I try to keep it simple. All right. A question I always get is, what do I get for my assessments? Now, you saw a big number there, $16 million of total revenue. That's running this place. For your assessment money, what you pay us, because you're not paying. No one in here is feeding the $16 million. That's people playing golf. Could be some of you. That's people eating in my restaurants. That's people that were getting money from the state, the county, that type of stuff. For what you're paying annually to the district for your assessments, about $4.3 million is just for that. It is feeding these services. It is not feeding the golf or the clubhouse. It is not feeding the utility department. You guys are paying separately for that. It is not feeding our permits department. The builders that are coming in here are paying for that with the fees that we charge them. So for just your assessments, the breakdown right here is the bulk of it's going to running this place with the roads, the building, the drainage, the recreation, the street repairs. That's the bulk of it, close to 50% of your assessment dollars. So if you got a vacant lot, you're paying $200 a year, 50% of that, $100 is going to everything you see around. Paying for the code guy, paying for the security guy, paying for the HR department to manage these 170 employees, paying for our community services for all these events you start seeing popping up around here, and so on, the payroll for everybody. And then it trickles down from there. All right. So you're definitely getting the bang for your buck, because here's the way I look at it, having done this many years in municipal life, is that if you parlayed this, if you moved across the street on 27 in the Sebring, whatever you'd be paying would quadruple in taxes. They don't call them assessments, call them property taxes. But you wouldn't get one iota of more services. In fact, you probably get less services. Damn if you could walk into that office downtown Sebring and say, can I talk to the city manager? You'd have to get on a roster and see him next week. Damn could you call up and say, can someone come pick up this trash can or this mattress in front of my house? You'd say, we'll get on the list. You do that now, someone within 24 hours is going to take care of your problem. That's the proximity of what we own, what we have here. That's the goodness of Sun and Lake. So could we get better? We are getting efficient. We are getting better. We're getting the right resources. We're getting that type of stuff. So it shows you the value of your assessment money. But I got people paying $200 for vacant lots. And on the high end, I got businesses paying thousands. But I got most of my people that are full house, living on the golf course, $500,000 house, whatever, paying, $900. And that's the span between them. They all get the same services. I don't give anything more to the guy or gal living on the golf course paying $900 than that guy that has a vacant lot out there on Balboa that has nothing, no roads, no wastewater, no water. I don't get no difference. They get a difference because of the proximity of their lot. Yeah, I can't come build them a road. Eventually will. I can't do that. I can't maintain a road because they don't have a road. But the value of these things are there. They can still use our pools. They can use our playgrounds. They can use our clubhouse. They can do all that type of stuff. And that's the onus on me to make sure that level of equality is there for all those folks. based on the percentage of what you're paying. And we just got to keep foot stomping that, because people think, I'm paying so much in taxes. Well, yeah, you may be paying a lot. Trust me, I'm paying a lot in my county taxes too, but it's going to the county. You know, thousands of dollars is going to the county. And what do we get for them? We get fire coverage, and we get a sheriff every once in a blue moon tooling through Sun and Lake. That's about it. Whole different discussion that I have, supervisors have with our county staff, our county board, to better advocate for us that we send the county over $4 million a year. We want to know what we get back for that. We as in y'all, in county taxes, not assessment money. So you send me $4.3 million, I'll tell you to a gnat's ass what you're getting for. Pardon my French. But that's what I'm able to do that with the level of detail of the staff here. County, not so much. Whole different dialogue. All right. 2025. I'll hit this very quickly before I talk 2024, but you saw what happened in 2024. We basically reset a few things, reset some staff. There was a lot of gaps in our staff that were services just not being provided. We didn't have the depth in the bench when it came to rec staff to run this place, the pools, the events, that type stuff. We didn't have the depth in security and code enforcement. We had one guy tooling around here trying to do everything on paper. It wasn't that effective. We've now given him some digital resources. We've added 2 guys. We've actually cross-trained. All my security officers are actually code officers now. So they're doing double things. So now the guy at 12 o'clock at night whose security can actually do a code enforcement violation and start that process and not wait till the next day when the code guy comes in. So we've done a lot of those changes staff-wise. We built out. We had a one-person finance department that was trying to keep all the books. And that don't work too well when you're dealing with $16 million. All right. Now we have an accountant on staff. We have a parcel acquisition person on staff that's dealing with all the property issues. Tamia is down there. So we built out the right team so you're getting professional services that you deserve for the money you pay. All right. So we've done a lot of staff coach, teach, and mentor training, getting them professionalized, holding them accountable. There's been folks that started when I first got here day one that are not here. All right. There's a standard I set. There's a standard I expect. They all know it. They can't live up to it. They'll be gone. I ain't going to get too personal about it. They'll be gone. See you later. Thank you for your service. All right. And we've had to do that for some folks that didn't understand the philosophy that we all were trying to get to and you all expected of us. So a lot of that, we've put a lot of money into our water lines. We're getting rid of this asbestos that's been out there for 50 years. We're going to continue to do that every year, about $300,000 to get rid of that. We still got about 4 miles left, and mostly in the old part of Sun and Lake, I'll call it. So we're doing that. We got money into our greens. We brought them up to a PGA level, the only one within 60 miles. And that's showing in the revenue produced by people playing here as well as outside play into Deer Run, I'm sorry. Improvements in the restaurant we're trying to do with menu changes and that type of stuff. And a bunch of other things when it comes to our utilities, equipment where we're missing. This is a municipality that has a utility that has over 5,000 customers. My guys didn't even have a line, a tool they use to go through the lines of the camera. I was like, well, what world do you people live in? So we fixed that. I don't need to contract that out. I don't need to ask Sebring to borrow it. We need to own stuff like that. So we did that. This large piece of equipment you see out here, this excavator, we were renting it from Sunbelt every time we wanted to do something. Thousands of dollars. The board generously, after I petitioned them, gave us the money to buy one so we own it here. So every day that thing can be churning dirt, clearing stormwater drains, fixing projects, doing road projects, and I don't have to pay Sunbelt rentals anymore. All right, so it's stuff like that, that when you hire the professional team, that's the action you're going to get. You're not going to get the guy, that's just sitting behind the desk or gal sitting behind the desk that says, yeah, okay, go rent that, go buy that, go ask that guy over there. All right. So a lot of stuff happened in 2024 to include a lot of trying to get community engagement, a lot of community events. We expanded that bubble. This is not just a place to deal with the 300 plus members of our golf course. They got events going on, good for them. They'll continue. We got 13,000 residents here. Those 13,000 want to have a nice pool, want to have party events, want to have community events, want to feel that camaraderie, that fellowship. That costs us peanuts to do. We did it last week with just a resident welcome. It was meant to be welcomed from the north. I said, no, it's for the residents. Make it open to everyone. We'll continue to do that. Our fall festivals, our merry markets, and Christmas. Those are very simple things, but it shows the goodness of Sun and Lake. And you're going to continue to see that this year. When it comes to this year, we're going to start. The board approved it. We're collecting the funds. We're getting the contractor set. $90 million wastewater plant out there in Granada. That is going to give us the capability to take care of every parcel in Sun and Lake, every parcel, 12,000, to give you water and wastewater access. We're working through the connection side of that, but you'll have access. If you're on the system now, your system is guaranteed for another 60 years. It's going to be quality, and when you get quality and you get a good system in place, the potential for cost savings is there. The efficiency of the system will get us to a point where I will be able to bring budget-wise to the board saying, you know what, our utility is good, we have efficient, we're doing better wastewater collection, water output, we're able to do this, this, and this with our fees. You can't do that when your system, we're trying to patch mud holes and trying to seal up tanks, concrete tanks that are cracking because they're 50 plus years old. Right? Bond negotiation cleanup. This place was built on bonds like many cities are, municipal bonds with companies 50 years ago, 20 years ago. There's probably people in this audience that you may not even know it. There's a bond, there's a lien on your parcel from that time period. We're cleaning that up. The board authorized the buyout of one of these bond companies because that bond company wasn't just doing any goodness to anyone. They weren't telling people they had bonds. They were just if you didn't pay them, they just kept putting fees and fines and just racking up that bill. And the only time you knew about it is when you tried to sell your lot. And then you got hit with this big, you owe $50,000. That ain't a good day. So we went down the road. We bought out that one bond company at pennies on the dollar. And now we're having negotiations with all the residents. It's only about 140 of them that have a bond. And we're offering, I don't care about the bank. The bank had all these fees, not my problem. The bank had all this interest, not my problem. I care about what the bond was to build Sun and Lake, the principal. And then we can shrink that $50,000 bill to a couple $1,000s. And if that resident is able to do that, boom, they have clean title, clear title, and we can move forward. We're doing that with that one bond company. The other bond company, Auckland, we're working hand in hand with them. We're doing negotiations. We're doing foreclosures. They're actually in the building mode. They're not just worried about bond collection. They're now worried about there's a bond, we buy it out, we pay it off, whatever. We want to build houses and that type of stuff. So I'm more comfortable on that side of the house. They got about 400 parcels still with a bond on them. But after the bonds are done, then it's done. There's no more debt, unless you have liens. There's no more debt from what built out Sun and Lake, what gave us these roads and these community centers and that type of stuff. So that's going to be a big part of the effort. To me, is working on that, finance, Coral, and so on. Banquet hall, we got approval that we are doing great business across the street there in our restaurant, in our clubhouse, bar, I'll call it. But where we were bumping heads and losing a lot of customers and revenue was that we had a conflict in when we did banquets, and it would basically shut down a restaurant and vice versa. So we presented to the board that for a cost, if we could build out a banquet hall, nothing extravagant, a banquet hall to give us the ability to offer more spaces to not only residents to use and rent out for parties, weddings, and that type of stuff, but we can expand that $500K in revenue higher and not have to close down our clubhouse and our restaurant and that type of stuff for those conflicting things. We're going down that road with the vendor, it's in the dead space between the courts and the restaurant. It's going to be attached. We're not building another kitchen. We're using the same kitchen. It's just basically space that we need, so we're not, bumping into each other. So that's going to be a big project this year. Pool, right out back here. Got a nice little pool here, really kid-friendly, but what I'm lacking is more the adult pool, the hangout, a larger. You want to do laps. You want to have a place where you don't have the sprinkler shooting over your head, all right? So we have that initiative going on back here that'll basically bump out an adult pool, 50 by 50 feet roughly. It'll add space to our gym. So our gym now will move from this little shack back here, overlooking the pool area, expanding our gym. We'll add that space. There'll be a spa, there'll be cabanas, it'll be all included. And then that gives not only residents the ability to use it, it takes us from having 60 people max capacity here to a couple hundred people. So not only can more residents use it, but now we can get people to sign up for the memberships and get some revenue base from that, as well as rent the space. So that's going to be a big initiative going on back here. Street lights, got about 150 going in Unit 16 area, I'll call it. Basically the west side of Deer Run, all the way out to Cortez and Sun Lake Boulevard, if you know that area. A lot of builds going in there. We're energizing that area, as well as we're going inside the bubble of Deer Run, the preserve, that area right there. And we're going to throw some street lights in there. And then there's a plan that I've laid out to the board that we're going to continue to energize the district with street lights. Solar, so there's no water, there's no power bill, but we're going to continue to do that to light up the district for safety reasons. Sun Lake Boulevard refresh, we now own it. We own it from 27 all the way to Balboa. We have approved in our budget money to refresh the landscaping, to try to clean up the signage, to fix up the sidewalks and all that type of stuff. So a big initiative this year. That's our main focal point. Anyone that comes to Sun Lake drives down Sun Lake Boulevard. That's like having, your front door, your foyer is the most crappiest place in your house. That's not really the best thing you want to show to people walking in. We're going to fix that up. Nothing too extravagant, but we got to make it more nicer to look at. So we're going to put some energy there. You see digital signs, we're adding 3 more, already budget approved, and those will start rotating more information about these type of meetings and other meetings, as well as opportunities, community events, and so on and so forth. We're using them mainly for, we will be using them come emergencies. Hurricanes come, boil water notice, if we ever need to do that stuff, that type stuff. It'll be a better way to push out information. And developments and standards basically are builders. Just this year, right now I got about 400 active builds going on in Sun Lake. And it's growing, even in these financial times. This area of Florida is growing. The bulk of the people coming to Sun Lake in the past year are from not the north, are from both of my coasts. They're just they want to live in Florida. They want to enjoy Florida life, but they don't want to mess with hurricanes and storm surge and all that fun stuff. They're the ones coming here. That's great. So we're holding those builders to more accountable standards. That's when I saw development and standards. Even the one guy building, he's going to be held to standards. But when we have these large builds, 50 houses, 100 houses, they're signing up and enforcing the standards that we expect with sidewalks, street lights, street size, that type of stuff. We're going to hold them accountable, inspect them, and they don't get occupancy until they meet all our standards and the board says, make it happen. So that's a big initiative that's going on this year. We plan to have more meetings with our builders and have that discussion with the local builders as well as the outside guys and gals that are coming here. That's simply 2020. A lot more other stuff going on, but that's 2025. And now I open the floor to y'all. Questions, comments, concerns? Pool, we just got the drawings came in this week. We're sitting down with our engineers. Probably by midsummer, if not early summer, it'll go live. Yes, sir. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, this year. This year. Yes. Yeah. Sir. Okay. We do a strategic plan based into our budget that shows 5 years of expenditures, but I see what you're saying, that we can lay out a better way to show the larger projects over 5-10 years and show you some visuals of where we think we'll have progress. Yeah, that's something we had sessions with the board in the spring that we get their feedback, get public comment, and we can put all that together. Probably midsummer, early fall, we can have a product for everyone to take a look at, give us feedback on. Yeah. Anything else? Go ahead, sir. Yeah, I'm sorry. Sure. Yes. Good point. And I neglected to say that. So all our entrances, Sun Lake Boulevard, North Side, Ortega, soon to be Palermo when we do the wastewater plant. Those are all main entry points to Sun Lake. You're exactly right, sir. It'll be addressed with landscaping, proper signage, and we'll maintain them. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, ma'am. We have. There's a large green space that our golfers use right now for pre-staging. We're going to more formalize that area. It's grass now. That's where all the golf carts park for an event. We're actually going down a path this year, putting in some coquina and trying to get that more formalized. So it won't take cars, but it'll get all the golf carts out of the way and give them an area that's still nice to get out for the play. We do own the district bought the 3.5 acres north, right next to the district office. There's that large green space right there. That's basically our overflow plan for future growth. That could be a district office. That could be parking. So we do have that space. And tied into the banquet plans is the district owns a lot of the land around the courts. So there's the ability where more employees, people coming to the banquet halls, will route them around the courts into some space. If you can visualize that area, get them out of our parking lot, and then and keep those folks in the main parking area. For here, you're seeing a start point here. What they're doing is leveling this out, getting it ready. We're not parking lot this whole area, but there's going to be a sliver along Edgewater here that'll be additional parking overflow for here. And we're definitely looking at appropriate parking so we don't have people parking on people's land or their parcels and that type of stuff. Yes, ma'am. Right now, we bring in our current format about $500,000 a year in banquets only. That could be everything from a 20, 30 person banquet, kind of, sort of. So 30 up to 300. And that's with the space we have now that's very limited and restricted and competes with a restaurant. Having a dedicated spot that's segregated, we could actually, we're laying it out where you could rent the whole thing for 300 plus people, or you could just rent one segment for 50 people and still be operational. We're laying it all out that way that we expect over the 5 years, our revenue will go for that $500,000 over the $1 million mark, because that's a missing niche in Highlands County specifically. There's some amenities, there's some competitors around us here, but they don't offer the full package of, you have a restaurant, you have a bar attached, you have golf you could play. You got, if you want to make this an event, you can make this a bigger event with us instead of just renting some nice barn somewhere and there's nothing around it. So we feel there's a niche that we haven't tapped. Weddings, we've been minimal on weddings because we just don't have the setup for it. No one wants to come into a restaurant and have their wedding right there, and next door there's people hanging out at the bar. So it's a niche we're going to address, and we're doing the marketing for that. Yeah, sir. Oh, sure. The expansion of our banquet hall would involve a broader reach in marketing of getting businesses to come here and tag on to the other things we offer here as a county as well as this district. So a major golf entity could come here, have a large banquet, and then play the next day or the day before. We're looking at that type of expansion. Yes, sir. Yeah. Yes, sir. Slight changes. We're not building a whole new kitchen in the banquet hall. Yeah. Yes. We haven't got to the level of that detail, but we wouldn't have a restriction on that. Yes, sir. That wouldn't hurt us. We're still getting the rental space, and it's actually saving us money if we don't have to put the full meal deal out there. But we're laying that out. Right now I have a banquet manager, Jessica. Many of you all work with her. We don't really have we have the staff. We don't really have the banquet manager higher level identified. Board approved the budget. We're seeking that person. Could be someone in-house. Once we get that team set, there'll be folks dedicated over there that will be running that operation. Yes, sir. Ma'am. Okay. Yes, ma'am. Okay. And Mike's here. We can dig into that concern. Yes, ma'am. Yeah. Anything else? Yes, ma'am. Sure. Yes, ma'am. So specifically to your case, if Jamal, can you just get an address after this meeting from you? I can address your specific area. What the district did not have was a long-term plan of like road maintenance when it came to swale maintenance or ditch maintenance. We built that with our engineers. We have a 5-year plan that shows when we're going to get to focused areas, but we don't fill the schedule up with that because we know there's certain areas that pop up throughout the months, and then we have to send resources to fix that. We've built that plan. We'll publish that plan. It could be on our website. I don't think it's there now. It'll show you that the district has about 1,500 miles of ditches. And we can only get to maybe 50 a month with the entire team I have right now. So it's an enormous effort, but we owe you a timeline of when we're going to address it. But if there's a specific issue in any area, highlight it to us, because then our engineer can get an assessment very quickly. And if I got to throw resources very quickly at it, we can get to it. Yes, sir. As soon as you came into the right, you guys are on the left. Okay, well, I know exactly where you're at. We're actually going to get to you next week. There you go. There, yeah, that's an easy one there. I got you, man. I understand. We'll be cautious of that, yes, man. But we'll get it out to that reservoir, yes, man. Gotcha. And we're tracking you, man. We'll be there. Yes, man. Okay. Yes, man. Yes. Yeah. We address that with our builders. The power we have is that at the end of the day, they cannot get an occupancy certificate unless we say yes as Sun Lake, even though the county's doing the building permit. The county asks us first. So as we articulate that to our builders, we make it very clear that they need to be in lockstep with our rules. Otherwise, it's going to be a bad day at the very end where we're like, no, you need to fix a lot of stuff before we give you the ability to sell your house. So we'll put some energy in your area. I know exactly the area you're talking about, and we'll continue to put pressure on the builders. Yes, ma'am. Yep. Sir. Hmm? Yes, sir. Mhm. Yep. Check, sir. All right. Got you, sir. No, we continue to put the pressure on the builders. I got you. Yes, sir. No, we'll keep working that. Any other comments? Yes, sir. Yep. Yes, sir. Yeah. Check. Got you, sir. Yes, sir. A lot of signs from the most recent store, Milton, are still down. We have a bulk order in replacing all those signs, and so they're slowly coming in and replacing. And for the specifically on Sun Lake Boulevard, my concern with the signage on Sun Lake Boulevard is the over signage on Sun Lake Boulevard, and that was because the county controlled and they were slapping signs up all day long. There's a certain required signs, but there's some ancillary signs there that we just need to get rid of for the aesthetics of it. So that's what we're looking at on the front part of Sun Lake Boulevard. But we're definitely going to address any necessary signs all the way down there to make sure they're appropriate and are missing areas. Yes, sir. Yeah. Anything, sir, ma'am? Yeah. No. Yeah. Sure. Yes, ma'am. The security force that you all pay for here, we do not have policing powers when it comes to speeding. It's more of a situational awareness team that we have here. We've had discussions, consistent discussions with our sheriff's department. I brought to the board some requests that if we can get a more dedicated sheriff presence here, it's going to come at a cost. That'll be brought up in this year's budget talks to the board. That'll give us sheriffs that work for me daily and are run by the sheriff, hired by the sheriff. We pay the sheriff, but every day they're working in Sun Lake, and we give them the tasks. We give them where we want to send them, the policing power, that type of stuff. So we're having those discussions, definitely addressing signage. My biggest problem with signage is that we have so many different speed zones across Sun Lake, from 15 to 55 and everything, that it confuses definitely outsiders, because they'll be tooling down 55 somewhere, and then boom, it's supposed to be 25. They don't know that. We may not have the right sign up there, so I'm with you there. We're trying to course correct that, and we are putting in, when appropriate, speed bumps to try to slow down that type of behavior, because that's really all we can control right now until we get more presence. There's no ability for us to ticket or put speed cameras, that type stuff in. Those are cost prohibitive, as well as some cases legal issues there. So we're not going to go down that road, but and we're not at a point where we should be having our own police force. That'd be cost prohibitive as well. Yes, ma'am. We brought that to the board 2 times just to give them some numbers of what that cost would be. That's yes, sir. We're having that discussion. Yes, sir. Great point. It's the flip side of that the sheriff comes back to me on, and it's a true statement. is that the reality is, even though we may have some triggers or points of contention, for the most part, Sun Lake is one of the most safe and secure areas in Highlands County. So his patrols that he does meet the need that he's designated for ability to influence Sun and Lake. And that's 2, 3, 4 times a day. You're not going to see him because they're going to pass by your house probably once in that day, if that. When what we want is a more direct force that we can target areas, because we know there's speeders here, put up speed traps. We know there's people parking illegally here, do what you got to do. We know there's some weird behavior going on here, go there. But we can only do that if we pay extra for that. I hear you. It's going to be a very hard sell that the money we pay, because we don't pay the sheriff per se, we pay the county for county services. They pay the sheriff's budget. So it's a hard thing to say, Sheriff, I pay you money, $4 million. That's not a true statement. So it's a hard thing to do. So, but we're having those discussions with them. Yeah. Anything else? Ma'am? Check. You live on the west side or east side of Pebble, right? Okay. Yep. So yeah, so I'm not aware. Tamia can check into Pebble Beach. We'll do some research. I'm not aware of the district hasn't sold, though. We don't own those lands. We'll find out. If any lots are being sold in undeveloped areas, the onus is on the builder to present a plan to us of infrastructure. I'll check specifically on your location. The only discussions we've been having on your location is years from now, depending on the 50 people that live along that Pebble Beach connection, I'll call it, between east and west. There will be a discussion potentially with them paying a part of it, of possibly connecting that road for security reasons, for safety reasons, whatnot. That's been the only discussion I've had with some of the individuals that lived along there. No initiative on the district's part to start anything, but I have individuals that live there wanting to know what's the ability. And I'd be very upfront with them. I say, you're going to pay a large portion of it because we don't need it. You may need it. We don't need it. So that's been the only discussion. You're talking to your north, probably east corner. We'll find out some information on there. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, trying to finish out that cul-de-sac. Yes, ma'am. Yeah. We're going to do it with coquina first. We're not going to put asphalt down there. We're going to expand the turnaround, which is just a gravel. That's what we use here. We're going to do that on that extension, but we're not going to be putting asphalt down there till our next iteration of doing asphalt repairs. Because your concern was the turnaround's tearing up the roadway. Yes, ma'am. I got you. And that's why we're going to address it with, we're going to outline the cul-de-sac per se with gravel to make that less washout. And we're actually, I think we put up 2 signs that said it's a dead end to try to help keep people away from there. Yes, ma'am. Yep. Agree. Yep. Yep. So we're Bob Brumfield, my guy, is working at. Check. Yep. Yes, ma'am. Yep. Well, we'll find out. You're highlighting something I'm not aware of. So yeah. Okay, we'll find out. Yes, ma'am. Anything else? That's all we have as staff. Unless staff has anything specific you want to highlight for your departments, I think we're good. Again, these guys and gals work for you, work through me, work for you. If there's issues at whatever department level, please, I give them the power to fix problems at the lowest level. But if you're not feeling satisfied at their level, director level, please elevate them to me and we'll get you an answer. We'll figure out what's wrong, what the issue is. We'll get you an answer. I appreciate you all's participation. Appreciate you coming. And let's just keep the dialogue open as the year goes on. You have a great new year and be safe. That's all we got. We'll adjourn the meeting.